Hi everyone, welcome to Black Cat Crimes. I'm Victoria and thank you so much for joining me for this video today. Let's get right into the tragedy that took the young life of Jayz Agnew much too early. On the evening of Tuesday, November 8, 2022, Jayz Agnew's mother, Juanita, asked him to please go help his father, Antoine, with the yard work. 13-year-old Jayz, who loved helping his family, did exactly as his mother asked and headed out to the front yard of their Maryland home. He worked alongside his father, raking the leaves in the front yard. Normally, Juanita and her daughter Aaliyah would join the boys outside while they were working in the yard, but that day she wasn't feeling well. She had just gotten sick the day before, and so she and her daughter stayed indoors. And at around 5:15 p.m., Antoine ran inside the house to do something really quick. It would only be 5 minutes later when the sound of gunshots would ring through the house, shattering the peace of that night. Antoine rushed out of his home, probably expecting Jayz to meet him halfway into the house looking for cover. But that isn't what happened. Antoine made it to the front yard to find his 13-year-old son lying on the ground and bleeding. As he approached Jayz, he realized that he had been shot in the head. Jayz was rushed to the children's hospital where, because he was still alive, he was rushed to the critical care unit to try to save his life. Though he was still alive, he was in critical condition, and they didn't know if he would survive. Back at the Agnew home, police were taking statements from neighbors and trying to gather whatever evidence they possibly could. Neighbors told police that they had heard between 5 and 7 gunshots that evening, and one neighbor had seen a car speeding away from the scene. Unfortunately, though, it seems like that was really all the information that police were able to get from neighbors. Jayz's parents also shared with investigators that there was no reason that someone would target Jayz. According to the family's GoFundMe, Jayz was a loving, gentle child, and the only squabbles he had was with his little sister Aaliyah over video games. Juanita also said, "Knowing who he is, I don't think he would be able to cause anyone to be angry at him to the point of wanting to take his life. He was just being obedient. I asked him to rake the leaves." And tragically, on Friday, November 11th, 2022, Jayz would die from his gunshot wound. And this investigation would now become a murder investigation. And as anyone would expect, his family is completely devastated by this very sudden and tragic loss. And you're probably wondering, like I was, how did this happen? Why would anyone possibly want to shoot an 8th grade boy who was just outside in his front yard raking the leaves? Given who Jayz was, police can't find any reason why this sweet, well-behaved boy would have been shot, leading them toward the conclusion that Jayz likely wasn't even the target. Which, knowing that, for me, brings even more questions to the situation. Like, who the heck could have been the target? Was it supposed to be a neighbor, another member of the family? Did someone just drive around looking for some random person to shoot and decide to shoot Jayz as he was standing there alone in his yard? I wonder, when police say that he wasn't the target, are they saying that he wasn't specifically targeted, rather he was just a random victim? Or that they were supposed to shoot somebody else and they somehow mistook Jayz for whoever that was? The why absolutely matters, but no matter what the reason was, this is still truly horrifying. He was just at home, doing his normal chores, spending the evening with his family. He was being a good son and doing exactly what his family wanted him to do. Juanita explained these feelings very well in a statement, saying, "That was the hardest thing for me to grasp, really, was that he was home. I told him several times, don't go wandering around the neighborhood, come directly home, make sure you let me know where you go. Those parameters I had in place for him, with the thought being at home was okay. He was in the front yard. It hurts to know that's what he did, and still violence came to his house." And I think that this is a topic that comes up a lot in discussions of crimes. Home is supposed to be your safe place. I know for a lot of people it isn't. I know a lot of people have really rough and scary home lives, but Jayz had a good home. He was supposed to be safe there. As his mom said, that was the rule, that he wasn't supposed to just go wandering around. He was supposed to stay close to home. And yet, right in his own front yard, he was hurt. He was killed. And this is something that the family has talked about too, that You know, they're afraid to go home. Not only do they have to relive this horrifying moment in their life, which is probably absolutely the worst thing that has happened to them, I can't imagine, but there's no motive. We don't know who this person was after or why they hurt Jayz. So there is the question of, do they want to hurt somebody else? Is there some reason they picked this house? Is someone else in the family going to be next? And so their home has been shattered. Their home has been taken from them, not only because their son is part of their home, and I'm sure they're always going to have that little hole missing from him, and I hope that they will find space to heal, but it's never going to be the same. So they've had that part of their home taken from them, but now their home is tainted by this memory, by what's happened, by the fear. And that's another level of, like, there's so many victims in these cases. There's so many people who are affected by these crimes and by what happens whenever someone's taken from their lives. I'm filming this video on November 18th, 2022, and as of right now, there have been no arrests made in relation to Jay's death. Prince George's County Police have also not announced a suspect or person of interest in relation to the murder. I think that's really because there's just not a lot of information. That obviously makes it really hard when you don't know who could have wanted to do this or why they did it. All of that plays a role in not being able to immediately have a suspect. And that's why both Juanita and Antoine and the Prince George's County Police are asking anyone with any information regarding this shooting to please come forward. The family specifically has asked that if anybody has any sort of footage or video that could help, you know, give context to what happened, if you have security footage of someone driving by your house, if you have a phone video of the shooting, of someone racing away from a home in this area, then definitely please call the police. And there is currently a $25,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest in this case. They live in the 2100 block of Jameson Street in Temple Hills, Maryland, and this took place around 5:20 p.m. on November 8, 2022. So please look back at your camera roll. If you have security footage and you live in this area, look back at your security footage. Even if you don't think you have anything, it could still be helpful to reach out and ask if police want this footage if you just live on the nearby streets, because maybe there is something that will help them piece something together. So it's better to call and ask and let them know that you have this information, you have this footage, and let them decide what to do with it rather than hold on to it thinking it's insignificant. Because sometimes they have all the big pieces and they just need that one little piece to help it fit together. If you have any information, you're asked to call police detectives at 301-516-2512. And if you wish to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Solvers at 1-866-411-TIPS. You can also go online to pgcrimesolvers.com to remain anonymous and submit a tip. Then the night I'm filming this, November 18th, the family is about to hold a candlelight vigil in honor of Jayz in front of their home. This will already be past whenever I upload the video, but I did want to mention that they are holding a candlelight vigil for him, and I really hope that that gives them some comfort and that people show up for that. And so before I finished up this video, I did double check really quick, because a lot of times in cases that happened recently, I've found that information develops very quickly. And so I always like to do a quick search right before I finish wrapping up my video. And it does seem like police say that they are having some success with calls to the tip line. They don't necessarily want to share anything, or they're not saying what they know or what they're getting or how it all fits together. But let's continue that. If you do know anything, if you live in this area, please share this information, because every bit could help solve Jayz's murder. And so I just want to take a second to tell you a few stories about Jayz. There's not a lot out there, but the family have shared a few pieces that are just so sweet. He seemed like such a good kid. His family has talked about how kind and sweet he was, that he was super well-mannered and they never had to worry about him talking back or going out of his way to do crazy things. And he really loved his little sister Aaliyah, and they spent a lot of time playing together. And I guess last year they found a couple of cats in the shed behind their house, which, if you couldn't tell by the name of my channel, I absolutely love cats. I had a black cat who passed away several months ago, and I recently adopted a new cat. I mean, I adore cats, so I love this story. They named the kitties and brought them in, and so Jayz's cat was named Dawn, and Aaliyah's is named Lily. And so they raised them together, and they all apparently loved to be cuddled up on the couch together, all four of them, watching movies and spending time together. And Jayz played video games a lot, but he didn't just play them by himself. He played them with his sister, which of course naturally led to a few little fights here and there, but as someone with older siblings, that's part of it. You're always going to fight over little stuff, and my heart just breaks for this whole family. He seemed like such a sweet kid. His mom said she's not completely sure where this came from, but he very specifically wanted to be an emergency room doctor when he grew up. And there's an element to this case that I want to share that is interesting to me from an analytical point, but kind of sad as an overall human standpoint. The family has set up a GoFundMe, but instead of the usual things that you hear about, asking for funeral expenses and money to let the family grieve and take some time off work and heal together, asking for legal and investigative expenses to help cover those. And it's because they're seeking justice. GoFundMe says, "We are appealing to you to help us with legal and investigative expenses. We will not stop until justice is served." And the family has very much expressed that they're very worried that, people are going to stop talking about Jayz, that a few weeks from now, this story is just going to kind of melt into the background as new crimes happen, as new things happen. And because this feels very random, it feels like there isn't a lot of information, that Jayz isn't going to get justice. And we've seen this trend with the rise of true crime content, like my own channel, that families are able to crowdfund investigations, that families are able to reach out and get this massive reach through social media more so than getting all of the investigative work done by police. They're able to hire PIs and get tests done and go above and beyond, doing a lot of the footwork themselves, because either police, it seems like police in this situation are stepping up. They are doing a lot. They've been out to the house multiple times. In this case, at this point, I'm not saying anything about police not doing anything, but it does seem like the family's kind of getting ahead on, well, what happens if his case goes cold? What happens if the tips stop coming in? What happens if we don't have answers that quickly? We need to be prepared to continue this mission ourselves, to get justice for our son ourselves. And I'm both impressed by the family doing this and so saddened that they feel like they have to do this, that they are already seeing that this could be something that fades, that people forget about, that doesn't get solved. And so they're kind of going ahead with it. And so that was just something that I felt like I wanted to talk about, that I thought it was interesting, that is the angle that the GoFundMe is helping with. As I say, in any situation where I share a family's GoFundMe, if you can donate, every little bit helps. And if you can't, that is completely understandable. Sharing the link or even sharing this video, hopefully it could get in front of the right people, could go a long way to help the family. And if you don't want to share my video, there are lots of articles out there that you could share that would hopefully help continue getting Jayz's name out there in front of people, so that hopefully we can get this information in front of the right person who can tell police what they need to know. A lot of times in situations like this, people talk, whether it's at parties, they tell a significant other, they tell somebody because they either are horribly, they are proud of it, or sadly, they are like, oh my gosh, I killed the wrong person. This isn't what am I going to do? And So if we can get the information in front of the right people, maybe this could be solved relatively quickly so that the family has time to heal and move on from this and doesn't feel like they're going to be left fighting for justice for their son. But at this time, that is all I have for you about Jayz and his murder. I will definitely be keeping an eye on the investigation and what happens, and I will be providing updates either through my Instagram, I post on there a lot, and my TikTok page, which are both Black Cat Crimes, just one word. And if big information comes out, I will always make a YouTube video. And sometimes, because I do work full-time, if you've watched my missing person profiles, this is kind of the same little spiel I do there, where if I can't post an update video right away, but I feel like the information is super important and you need to know it right away, I will always pin it in a pinned comment below this video just so you get it right away. So with that, my heart just goes out to the Agnew family. I cannot imagine what they're going through, and hopefully, that's all I can say is hopefully this is a case that moves pretty quickly so that they can heal and move on from this and know what happened, rather than being left wondering for years and feeling like they have to pick up the torch and find out what happened. Thank you so much for watching this video about Jayz Agnew and his horrifically untimely death. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you'd like to see more from me in the future, I have a couple of longer videos that I am planning to release soon that are actually either already filmed and I'm editing them, and another one I am refilming it and the script's already done, so I should be editing that in the next few weeks here. And I will be continuing the missing persons profiles. So if you're interested in all of that, please subscribe, and I will be very happy to have you as part of my channel. Again, thank you so much. Stay safe out there. Bye.